from the letter of St. Paul to the Ephesians. Brothers and sisters, you were once darkness, but now you are light in the Lord. Live as children of light, for light produces every kind of goodness and righteousness and truth. Try to learn what is pleasing to the Lord. Take no part in the fruitless works of darkness. Rather, expose them, for it is shameful even to mention the things done by them in secret. But everything exposed by the light becomes visible, for everything that becomes visible is light. Therefore it says, "Awake, O sleeper, and arise from the dead, and Christ will give you light." The word of the Lord.
Thanks be to God.
Darkness and light. This is a metaphor that is really ingrained in how we approach the world, how we look at the world. It's very natural for us. The dark can be a place of disorientation and danger. Even places that we know well can become difficult to navigate when there is dark. I mean, try walking around the house with your eyes closed, and you'll probably end up running into a bunch of things. It's not easy to do. By contrast, light restores the world to the way that it should be. It makes the world understandable and safe. Just think for a moment of horror movies. Most of the time, they take place in the dark. And a lot of the time, their resolution, the end, when everything is over, is at the break of day, when there is light. Now, right now, it feels to a lot of people like we are living in a horror movie. There's this lurking monster, this threat of coronavirus that has disrupted many of the things that we thought of as very stable and foundational to our world, to our society. Work is disrupted. Many events are disrupted. Really, all events, frankly, are disrupted. Even masses, the rhythm of our liturgical life is disrupted. And so this secure foundation of everything just seems shaky and not as secure as we thought before. The world can seem disorienting and dangerous. It can seem to be in darkness. Now we hear, brothers and sisters, now you are light in the Lord. Live as children of light. When the world is dark, let Christians shine the brighter. For most of us, there is relatively little we can do about coronavirus directly, other than prayer, social distancing, these things. However, there is much we can do about darkness. The reading that we just heard from Ephesians was written to a community of Gentile Christians. This is a group that did not have the light of faith in Christ, nor even the light of Judaism. They grew up not having knowledge of God. They grew up without having relationship with God, without having practice of his good ways. This is the darkness that Paul is speaking about in this passage. This is a darkness of ultimate meaning, a darkness of greatest friendship, a darkness of dignity. And it's a darkness that's greater than any horror movie or any disease. Now, just before this passage, Paul explains some of what he means of how Christians can bring light into this kind of darkness. He says, all bitterness, fury, anger, shouting, reviling must be removed from you. Be kind to one another, compassionate, forgiving one another as God has forgiven you. And when we speak to each other, he tells us to say only what is helpful for building others up according to their needs, that it may benefit those who listen. Now, during this time, most of us will be in closer contact with those we live with than we're accustomed to. That can bring some friction. It might bring some cabin fever. It can make our nerves a bit frayed at times. Nevertheless, when we strive for right relationship with those around us, when we strive to be kind, when we strive to be forgiving, we can shine light into the darkness of the situation. This is a time for doing some extra kind thing for those around us. It might be some very small thing that's hard to spot. Could be larger. It might be something kind for somebody who is currently driving you nuts. It might be something where you fail a few times. You don't quite manage to do that kind thing for that person the first few times. It might be that you have to ask for forgiveness to that person or from that person. The point is, don't give up. Keep trying to do that extra kind thing. Keep trying to ask for forgiveness. Because it is through kindness and compassion and forgiveness that we can lighten the burden of those around us, that we can bring light into darkness and make the world more the way that it should be. Darkness is an opportunity for light to shine.